All right, we've got Prapti Jha. Prapti, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me, Seth. I'm delighted to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Before we dive into the conversation, I'd love to give the folks that are listening at least a little bit of background for you. Would you give us the elevator version?
Absolutely. I am an innovation strategist at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. As you already mentioned, my name is Prapti Jha, and my background is in design-led innovation. Currently, my work focuses on how might we use the methods and mindsets of design-led innovation in the area of public health, public policy, to help with the well-being of people, environment, and also the organizations. So that's what I'm working on right now. But I've also spent some time in industries like manufacturing, automotive, retail, healthcare. So I'm also very much interested in the cross industry, aspects of innovation.
Fantastic. That does us a great service in understanding what you are focused on. Could you unpack that though? Give us kind of maybe one level deeper on what your true focus is at the moment.
So if you ask me on a personal and an individual level, what my true focus is, and I would love to answer it that way, is that would be I'm trying to explore the challenges that different industries are facing when it comes to their innovation functions and how are they set up. And what I mean by that is conversations around success metrics of innovation projects or ROI of exploratory design or research projects. How do we bring that forward? And different teams in different industries, they're all having these conversations, but I'm curious and excited to be exploring how might we all come together and really talk about these things and come up with ideas and thoughts that might help these innovation functions pitch themselves better and also function more collaboratively with the business functions and the engineering functions in their organization.
And to that end, put yourself in that room in this conversation. What would you kind of offer to the room, to the table? What would you bring to the table in terms of key innovation advancements that you're seeing in real time?
That is a great question. And whenever in these days, when you ask about key innovation advancements, things that come to mind, or most obvious things that come to mind, would be AI, artificial intelligence. Like ChatGPT is all around. Bard is here too. Or people also talk about, uh, blockchain and stuff like that. What I want to do here with this question is take a pause here when we talk about these things and really ask ourselves when we say innovation is AI, when we say innovation is blockchain, are these really innovation or are these just inventions that we're confusing with innovation? So that's my kind of a prompt here also. So when I like to think about innovation, I think about the developments that we have done when we have designed smart cities, or when it comes to more personalized medicine. Also, right up to a certain extent, services like ride sharing services, also accessible design. And I'm not saying that these are perfect in their own sense. There are caveats to it, and there are, some things that we don't want it to happen in that way. But it's just like the perspective of understanding and thinking about innovation in something that makes our lives and the planet better is where I like to think most of my time. Yeah.
Yeah, and another way to maybe even kind of look at that point of view or a different perspective on that same point of view uh, might be that, some of the things that you just brought up are tools. Some of the
Yes.
things that you just brought up are advancements, and there's a difference there, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally.
So FEI, you're with us for FEI, and we're so thankful for that. It's the 20th anniversary of that show. And so I wonder, when you look back at the past 20 years, what do you see as the key changes along the way? Those 2 decades, what are maybe some tentpole key changes that you've seen?
Um, There are a lot of changes to be really frank, but some of the changes that I see and would like to highlight is one is basically a shift from product-based innovation. We were more focusing on, just designing those innovative products to a more service-based innovation. So now even companies who are really heavy product oriented, they're thinking about what services can they provide to their customers using the products that they are creating. So, there is a shift on, they're focusing on more innovation as a service delivery for customer experience, for developing new types of business models. So that's one, from product to service. The other one that I see, but I would like to see more of, is shift towards sustainability and social responsibility. So companies are doing it. There is a growing awareness towards the need for, sustainable and socially responsible innovation. Companies are taking up the environmental and social impacts of whatever they're creating. Of course, there is more we can do in this regard, but there is an awareness that I see. And the third one, which is also very close to what I do, is leveraging methodologies of design thinking, agile, lean, and all these into the innovation process rather than just the traditional ways of doing innovation. So overall, if you ask me, and the changes that are reflected by all these are kind of shift towards more collaborative, customer-centric, and a socially responsible approaches to innovation that we are all seeing and we would like to see more of.
You did a great job of describing the evolution over the past couple of decades. Thank you for that. Is there something that you can highlight that was a big deal that just no longer gets the same amount of air?
That's a great question. The first thing that comes to my mind is just me sitting here, you sitting there, and us having this conversation. So basically, need for a physical space or office. And I know when we talk about like big terms like innovation, this seems to be a very small thing. But it has made a huge shift, and it will keep on making this huge shift because now people can cross collaborate, across borders globally, across time zones. And that is a huge thing because in the past, whenever we talked about innovation or innovation team, it felt like we need people in one room. There needs to be a physical innovation space, a room that people go in and collaborate. So that's a huge thing because now we are collaborating across the world. That's one. The second, what I have seen is previously there was over-reliance, or it was just the responsibility of the R&D team or the internal research and development teams to come up with new innovative, ideas or the next big thing. Now we are seeing innovation happening in pockets in organizations. So like even there's a small team like research, they are taking up some innovative ideas, and there is more collaboration around. There's also certain focus on open innovation that companies are bringing. So, partnering with external organizations, startups, and even sometimes co-creating with the customers, which is a very interesting shift that we are seeing to, just in the way of we are developing new products and services. So that's one. The other one that comes to mind is not, not having the emphasis on technology alone. So I won't say that technology is still a huge factor in whatever innovation is happening and where we are moving, but it's not just, that's not enough. It is an essential driver, but no longer sufficient on its own. So what companies are focusing more on customer experience. So they are bringing out their research teams, sending them out. Design thinking is coming up moreover across industries. And they're more focused towards, factors that deliver products and services that meet the evolving need of the customers. Because as we see with evolving technology, customer behavior or consumer behavior is also shifting very fast. So that's also that's also like a shift that I can see.
Yeah, that shift is huge. And there are so many more pitfalls than there ever were. There were always pitfalls. Innovation never has been easy. But what are some, kind of new mindsets that maybe you have yourself or that you're seeing out there where folks are able to innovate and introduce innovation in a way that also avoids pitfalls?
That is a great question, and also a question that comes up very often because we are all like, oh, we all want to innovate, we want to do these things, and we just like start doing stuff that we see, or the teams that are, maybe we hear about design thinking and we are just introducing and starting to do design thinking. But thinking about the pitfalls or challenges that a team might face moving forward is basically de-risking your work in more business terms. Few things that really come handy or are really important and foundational are, one, I would say, is you need to have buy-in from the leadership. And when I say leadership, it's the C-suite, the executive leadership. That's where the buy-in needs to come from for any innovation function or project to succeed. And this is important because you will need resources, you will need support to implement all the new ideas that you might think of. So it is really important early on to communicate, the benefits of innovation to the leadership and secure their commitment in supporting whatever initiative that you're trying to build. That is one. The second is, in the most simplified way, I like to say it, we should not focus on how before we know what, so basically teams tend to focus on, how are we going to do it, how are we going to implement it, what are the metrics, what are the things. So it's important to first have a clear understanding of the organization's goals and priorities before moving into what type of innovation we are trying to bring, and the implementation part of it. So that's the second one, how before what. And the third thing that we see is, and I personally feel is foundational to everything that we're talking about here, is the culture, the organizational culture. I know there is a lot of talks around it, but sometimes it still just doesn't get as much importance that it needs to have. And basically, I can't emphasize enough on the value of culture and how it can make or break whatever initiative you're trying to come up with. So basically, the culture that provides space for collaboration, it provides space for curiosity, a culture where you celebrate the learnings from a project that was not successful, rather than feeling that you were, that was unsuccessful project, or you have to kind of tell your leadership of why did it fail, rather than what are the learnings from that failure. And some companies do that, and do that pretty well, and leverage those learnings into something that becomes successful later. So these are some of the things that come to mind when we talk about innovation pitfalls. But overall, if you would like me to wrap it up with one quote of what really, like, how innovation and why it fails, I love this quote from my professor, and he says that everyone wants to innovate, or everyone wants innovation as long as it doesn't require change. And I love that, because I've seen that in so many companies where it's like, yeah, we want to innovate, but this is how we have done it for so many years, So I love that, how he puts it. And this is something I feel it's great for all of us to think about whenever we are trying to innovate or think about innovation.
It's a great quote, and it's so true, isn't it? It's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing. So I want to ask you a last question here for now. We talked about FEI coming together. 20 years it's been happening. You're kind of coming in here. What
Yes.
excites you about the group and the sense of the community?
Absolutely. My journey has just begun with FEI, as you just mentioned. What I'm most excited about is the platform that it provides for folks like me and other people who are working in the field of innovation. But maybe for that time being, we are just focused on a certain part of an industry or a certain industry. But just coming to a gathering like this, or a community like this, where innovation is talked about from a more broader perspective and everyone is bringing their perspective, is something that I'm most excited about. And also, as I mentioned in my initial part of this conversation, is like, because I'm focused on exploring how innovation functions are set up in different industries, and how might we learn from each other to support ourselves in this journey. So I feel like that's the biggest value that I am seeing, that I would be getting, among other things, of like meeting great people and having fun and chatting. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Excellent, Prapti. Thank you so much. So much looking forward to just that.
Yes, absolutely. Looking forward to meeting you too. I hope I'll see you there too, right?
Of course.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you, Prapti.
Thanks.